Ideas are cheap. It is only what you do with them that counts. Isaac Asimov was one of the most prolific and influential writers in science fiction, publishing roughly 500 books across his lifetime. He was born in 1920s Russia, but raised in Brooklyn. He trained as a biochemist, but instead became a full-time writer. He's best known for the Foundation series that imagines the rise and fall of a galactic empire. And he's also well known for his robot stories, which includes the famous novel I, Robot, that introduced the 3 laws of robotics that is still important when talking about AI today. Asimov is known as one of the authors who defined science fiction's golden age, and he remains a foundational figure for how the genre imagines technology, society, and the future. So now, here are the quotes from Isaac Asimov. To succeed, planning alone is insufficient. One must improvise as well. Confidence is rewarded. It is only afterward that a new idea seems reasonable. To begin with, it usually seems unreasonable. Self-education is, I firmly believe, the only kind of education there is. Never let your sense of morals prevent you from doing what is right. When one plays for top prizes, one must be prepared to pay top stakes. Knowledge remains better than ignorance. We are meant to know, or we are just amoeba. It is surely better to be wronged than to do wrong. No one is so modest as to not believe himself a competent amateur sleuth. It is better to go to defeat with free will than to live in a meaningless security as a cog in a machine. Dullness of fact is the mother of fiction. Certain success evicts one from the paradise of winning against the odds. History is a story without an end. There is too much history, and there is too little of it that is told. Predicting the future is a hopeless, thankless task, with ridicule to begin with, and all too often, scorn to end with. The saddest aspect of life right now is that science gathers knowledge faster than society gathers wisdom. I fear my ignorance. It pays to be obvious, especially if you have a reputation for subtlety. In the world of today, can there be peace anywhere until there is peace everywhere? The spell of power never quite releases its hold. As real power declines, the symbols of power multiply and intensify. Often, writers on historical events tend to consider a loss of willingness to fight as a sign of decadence. Perhaps we ought to feel instead that to cease to be warlike means to begin to be civilized and decent. Truth is a discredited commodity among diplomats. No matter how outrageous a lie may be, it will be accepted if stated loudly enough and often enough. Hypocrisy is a universal phenomenon. It is all too easy to forget that there are emotional motivations in history, as well as the economic ones. There has never been any custom, however useless it may become with changing conditions, that isn't clung to desperately simply because it is something old and familiar. Inspect every piece of pseudoscience, and you will find a security blanket. Can the word best mean anything at all, except to some particular person, in some particular mood? When you write a short story, you had better know the ending first. Science fiction writers foresee the inevitable, and although problems and catastrophes may be inevitable, solutions are not. Straightforward preaching spoils the effectiveness of a story. If you can't resist the impulse to improve your fellow human beings, do it subtly. You are either funny or not funny. There is nothing in between. People are entirely too disbelieving of coincidence. It is change, continuing change, inevitable change, that is the dominant factor in society today. No sensible decision can be made any longer without taking into account not only the world as it is, but the world as it will be. Where any answer is possible, all answers are meaningless. The Bible and science both agree in being unable to say anything certainly about what happened before the beginning. If one thing goes without saying, almost anything can. There are limits beyond which your folly will not carry you. I'm glad of that. In fact, I am relieved. The most exciting phrase to hear in science, the one that heralds new discoveries, is not eureka, but that's funny. Life without books is empty. Good literature, all of it, is supposed to illuminate the human condition. We cannot afford enemies anymore. All mankind, right down to those you most despise, are your neighbors. violence is the last refuge of the incompetent. We will never finish. No matter how far we go, the road ahead will be as long as it was at the start. And that's the secret of the universe. A robot may not injure humanity, or through inaction, allow humanity to come to harm. If the love of money is the root of all evil, the need of money is most certainly the root of all despair. Governments, in moments of stress, are not famous for being reasonable. At odd and unpredictable times, we cling in fright to the past. Dogma is a dangerous weapon to use on others. I don't want to believe it just because I want to believe it. There are no happy endings in history, only crisis points that pass. It wasn't so terrible to get sick and old and to die if you've been part of life completing itself as a pattern, especially a pattern expressed in creativity and shared in love. It is the nature of science that answers automatically pose new and more subtle questions. I will believe anything, no matter how wild and ridiculous, if there is enough evidence for it. The wild and more ridiculous something is, however, the firmer and more solid the evidence will have to be. How can the net amount of entropy of the universe be massively decreased? I just work on the principle that of all the virtues, gratitude, next to honesty, is the greatest, and that has helped me on numerous occasions in my life. There are no nations. There is only humanity. And if we don't come to understand that soon, there will be no nations, because there will be no humanity. It is important to remember that the viciousness and wrongs of life stick out very plainly, but that even at the worst times, there is a great deal of goodness, kindness, and day-to-day decency that goes unnoticed and makes no headlines.